Welcome to another edition of EDTalks. And one of my favorite things about healthcare is nursing. So one of my favorite nurses is here with me today, Kathleen McGrow. Kathleen, welcome to EDTalks.
And thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, this is cool because you've been a long time nurse. You wouldn't know it, but I think you've been a nurse for a while on some floors and have this great experience. Then you sort of transition to the corporate side. And today you're like the chief nurse information officer for Microsoft. That's like a big deal.
Isn't it? I don't know. I mean, I'm a nurse at heart, so I don't know. I mean, it was a road to get here. I will say that, but yeah, I'm excited, and I love being at Microsoft. I love being at a large hyperscaler and representing nursing, honestly, and nurses.
Yeah. Well, I've been super impressed by the transformation of Microsoft since Satya came, and it's been pretty amazing. And he's got a heart for healthcare, and yeah, I was like, that's pretty cool that you get to be part of that. So super excited to talk to you a little bit about that and what some of the things that you're seeing. But before we get there, DNP, you're a doctor, Kathleen. So tell us about DNP for those who might not know.
Sure. Doctor in nursing practice. So there's not, for nursing, there's really, if you think of doctoral level, doctor in nursing practice or PhD, there's a very small percentage of nurses that actually go on for their doctorate. And the doctor in nursing practice specifically is really about the implementation. So PhD would deliver research, bench research, and kind of deliver it out to the field to be implemented. And the DNP role is very specific to that implementation. And I received a lot of great mentoring in my career. And one of the things I was told by a manager many years ago at Microsoft was, if you ever want to be the CNIO of Microsoft, Kathleen, you have to have your doctorate. So always listen to your mentors.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, my wife's a DNP as well. So I know what it takes to get there. And so many, many, many kudos to you. And the other breaking news, as we record in late January 25, you have a book out. Tell us about the book and show us the book. I know you've got it there.
I do. Yes, I do have a book. Here's my book, Empowering Nurses with Technology, a practical guide to nurse informatics. And I wrote it really for nurses and nurse informaticians, actually, really because I feel like technology is so key to healthcare and to the work that nurses do every day. And we have a lot of technology natives that are coming into nursing now. It's not just as simple as using your mobile phone in a healthcare setting. There's a lot of technology, as you know, and there's a lot of new things that are coming out. So really, it's just kind of the practical guide, as it says. I will say, encouraged to do it by many people, many great leaders, which is awesome. And I'm excited that it's out and it's able to be read, and hopefully people will gain the knowledge that they need. A lot of folks have told me so far they've gotten good benefit from it. So I'm very excited about that. Thanks for bringing it up.
That's awesome. I will definitely pick up on my own copy. People always ask this question whenever ask about books. So I'm going to ask it of you. Like, how long does it take to write a book? So what was the process like?
Yeah, so I'm kind of an early person. So I did a lot of my writing very early in the morning before my day would start when my brain was fresh. And I would say that overall, the whole process start to finish was about a year, right? So I started writing on it December of 23, and I really got a lot of work done during that holiday period of time. Got it into the publisher probably around April, and then they start doing iterations. And then by the time you button everything up, then it takes them another, 3 to 4 months to get everything completed. I had a lot of fun working with designers on the cover, and so you get to pick all of that. I've got, fantastic foreword written by Tom Lowry. I've got some great folks that actually reviewed it for me ahead of time. So that was all kind of part of the learning process for me. So I will tell anyone that if you're interested in writing a book, do it and learn as you go, because there's no way to really know exactly what you're going to have to do until you get into the weeds of it, frankly. And you know that. You've written a ton of books. So which is impressive, I have to say.
No, and you've helped me in my last one. So the book on Voice of Innovation AI edition, which will come out sometime this spring, as we both know, and you just described, it's an arduous but important process to go through. So it takes a little bit of time, but that is so cool. So, wow. Again, I'm super impressed actually being CNIO of Microsoft. You've got to see a lot of different things. What do you see out there that's going on in healthcare?
So I see a healthcare workforce that is just crushed by what they need to do every day, but that they would like to get joy back into their clinical practice. And it's really all about their patients. So I'm looking at ways that we can work with our customers on, what are manual processes that we can automate, and how can we make it better for the providers, say, to do clinical documentation or work with their patients on the everyday with scheduling. And just, if you think about all the different moving pieces and parts of your healthcare adventure as a patient, then you have to flip that and see how it impacts the provider and what can we do to make it better. And I really believe if we make it better for the provider, we will make it better for the patients.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I had a colleague, speaking of books, who wrote a book called Patients Come Second. And it was kind of heretical in a way, right? People were kind of upset about it. But the point was, look, take care of the clinicians who are taking care of patients, and then it all benefits everyone.
Correct. Benefit the patient for sure.
So tell me this, Kathleen. So a lot of the pushback we get to transformative technologies is change management. And you obviously have made the change, because when you were starting out, they didn't have the same tech that they have today, and now you're leading this. What did you do that you might offer as advice to others in their career to sort of accept the change and go with it? And not only did you go with it, I mean, you're leading it. So tell us about your thought process, how that all worked, and how that might help others in their culture, getting people to adopt and these new technologies to enable better care.
Sure. So when I was, clinical at the bedside, they came out and the big thing was electronic health records. And, IT came and said, we have this thing you have to do. And we were like, okay, tell us what we need to do, because we're here to take care of our patients. And that's our most important thing. And I personally feel in that time that the clinicians abdicated a lot of responsibility to information technology. We had engineers in the basement that were building things. They never asked us what we wanted. They just said, here, you have to use it. And so as clinicians, we really struggled with that. So I think that top of mind for me is always make sure that you have input and feedback from your clinical providers, from anyone who's going to use the system. Ensure that it fits within their workflow, or that the workflow is acceptable for them, and that it's actually seamless and frictionless. So for me, it's really about our clinical providers, or any provider that's using any system, anyone that's using any system. And in addition to that, I will say that it's our responsibility to educate them into what is coming. So we talk about artificial intelligence, generative AI. Really, when you don't have the knowledge of something, there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So it's our responsibility to educate. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote a book, right? Like, if I can educate nurses and nurse informaticists, the nurse informaticists will bridge the nurses to the information technology, and they'll be able to kind of pull that thread together. So I consider myself a bridge from, I know really well clinical, and I know enough information technology to be dangerous, I say, so I can bridge that gap. So I think we need more folks that can help bridge the gap. And then we have to get our clinical providers, at the table and listened to and heard, so they can actually give the feedback.
Yeah, love it. Super, super practical. Speaking of practical, what would you say to a nurse who's at the bedside today and sort of has an interest, right? They love the bedside, but they also have an interest sort of in tech, and they look at someone like you or some of your colleagues that we're so good friends with that helped write the chapter, and they're like, I aspire to be like that person. I want to be a leader like that person. What are a couple words of advice you might give that nurse who's, again, maybe earlier in their career?
So I always say, first off, thank you for being at the bedside and taking care of your patients, because I think that's really important. And then if someone is interested in perhaps going into more of information technology, I say, look within your organization. What are some of the projects? What are some of the things they're doing within technology that you could get embedded in, learn more about it, and then give them feedback. There's also many associations that really have good ability to network. I think a lot of it is about networking. You and I know each other. We have this whole strong network together. And that, I think, is really priceless. And that really kind of helps you kind of move forward if you would like to move into this information technology. I would say information technology is like this globe, and then we're like the bullseye in the middle of it, because it's such a network where everybody seems to know everybody, and we really help each other out. And I would like to hope that people are collegial and they really do want to help you out. So find a good mentor. I had a great mentor. Listen to your mentor. Have somebody that can bounce feedback off. Have your own personal board of directors, someone to help you move forward within your profession, because everybody does little nuanced things a little bit differently.
Kathleen, this has been so refreshing and inspirational. I think you sell yourself a little bit short. You're a great inspirational individual leader to many people. You've got an amazing role in our healthcare ecosystem, and you're doing good with it and helping other people. So thank you so much for being a guest on Ed Talk.